Let's take a look at this Epiphan Systems network video recorder. This thing essentially is a portable computer that can record DVI or VGA and record it either to an internal hard drive or to a DVD drive. And it's designed to be essentially a standard PC that you're running audio and video in. It's mostly controlled through a web interface. The web interface is pretty primitive, and even the videos it makes are very basic AVI files, and it's really not that useful. I already have a PCI Express video capture card that can go all the way up to 1080p. Most of these I don't think are used under normal operation. 12 volt in, you have the PS2 ports, USB 2, I think it's 100 base T Ethernet, parallel port, VGA out, so this is to monitor it on a computer. Like I said, this is essentially just a basic computer. DVI, VGA in, so you can use an adapter and get your VGA if you need it. Mini plug, some of the cloth I use to dust this thing off. I've had this thing for quite a while. Audio in through a 3.5 inch, or 3.5 millimeter mini jack, reset, power, headphone jack, microphone plug, Firewire. I can't remember if this thing can actually record via Firewire. It may be able to do a DVI stream, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Okay, with the front panel off, we can see that it's just a brown PCB with 2.5 inch hard drive sitting in there underneath the optical drive. And then there's a big box up here with wires running internally. You may not be able to see that, but we'll get the rest of this thing open. Let me just take off the back. Took me a second to remember that these 4 screws are actually holding in the video encoder, so I'm not actually supposed to take those out. Alright, so the case is just an empty aluminum chassis, very straightforward, and you can see the construction of this thing is a small form factor PC motherboard. This encoder board is essentially the DVI version of this little guy. It's much larger, as you can see, but they've just left the ends of the enclosure off so that you can they can screw the whole unit right into the back plate of this case. It's kind of a clever design to put a case in a case. Just by leaving off the panel, similar to this one that we just took off, you leaving that off, you can then just screw through it and attach the whole unit right to another computer, or inside the computer, I should say. And it appears as if it's a standard port on the device. It's a pretty clever way. I can't say I've ever seen anyone do that before with a separate product, because this is a product that you can buy separately as far as I know. I think it's just called DVI to USB. And in this case, it's a USB 2.0 connector. Underneath it, you can see they're running an internal barrel plug and a mini USB port. And there's a riser here. Now, how does this thing come off again? There's a secondary board. I think you just pull the whole thing off. I don't think it's actually attached. So this whole board just peels off. There we go. That's progress. They've simply soldered in the power connector to the PCI connector. I guess that's one way to get 5 volts. This whole module that sits down plugs directly into the 2 parallel ATA connectors, and this high density, well, it's actually a 0.1 inch connector, but it's 3 rows. This other connector where it's feeding the PCI up to this port, and these 2 parallel ATA connectors just go right to the 2 drives. So let me take these apart. So this daughter board is an interesting design. They have several boards that are put in on a 90-degree angle to give you the connector for the optical drive, the PCI card, and then you have these headers that are a 90-degree header for the 2.5-inch hard drive. And yeah, there's no active components on this, I don't think, at all, or even capacitors. It doesn't feel like there's anything on this whatsoever. So yeah, it's just kind of an overly complicated board for a kind of simple task. The optical drive is just a standard DVD recorder. The hard drive is just a standard Seagate 5400 RPM 160 gig, and obviously parallel ATA. And yes, I have checked this drive. There were no recordings on this thing whatsoever. The heatsink and fan assembly is just a blower style fan with some nice foil tape over it to really direct the airflow. Has a little cutout for an intake and then the thermal paste. And the rest of the board has a big heatsink over what I think is just the north and south bridge. No dedicated hardware encoders or anything like that, with the exception of what's inside this box. So this is just a standard off-the-shelf board, LCT-M. I don't know if there's actually a proper board part, because I think this is probably just an OEM part that they've, a board that they just happen to be using. There's nothing really special about this at all. You can see there's lots of different build options and stuff, and there's space for audio on the board. They've either received it without the jack and soldered in their wire, or they've removed the jack themselves once they got it and put in their own wire for it. 2 memory slots, one of which had this memory stick, which looks like PC100. Got a MPGA 479 socket with a CPU, which is a 1.6 gigahertz, 1 meg cache, 400 meg system bus. And I'm trying to remember if I replaced these caps. I don't think I did, because some of these are different than the others, but it might just be that's how they ship this thing. You can see there's even an inductor that's been knocked on its side and bent over. These caps are all on their sides. So either they shipped like this from the manufacturer, or my guess is they actually went through, and the company themselves, Epiphan, went through and took these off the board and resat them on their sides, so there'd be enough space for the internal hardware. Although it looks like, oh no, I think it might foul with it, but I'm not positive. It just seems like this is a weird way to install these things. So I think they might have done some custom work to this board. And this is the micro USB connector, or mini USB connector, which goes through a screw hole and then runs to simply this port, which is feeding off another USB port, because usually computers have 2. So what they've done is, I think they've just covered up, yeah, I can feel the spot. So they've covered up the second USB port and are just tapping off it. And obviously they don't want you connecting 2 devices to it at once. That would be bad. So they've just blocked it off. And I don't know if this back plate just comes right off. It's got a pretty substantial back plate on this thing. Yeah, these seem to be just standard chipset parts. Like I said, the rest of the board is a pretty basic standard OEM board for the time. You know, you've just got your BIOS chip, bunch of caps, all those good things. And like I said, it's got lots of options for various configurations. They would ship these things with variations like extra ports, that sort of thing, depending on the model. Very nice aluminum case for this thing. Outside of its nice aluminum housing, the board for the DVI encoder is simply an Analog Devices AD9887, which is a DVI controller chip. It just accepts the input from the DVI or VGA. And we have a Xilinx Spartan, a PGA, and then we have a bunch of SRAM and nothing on the back. and some that looks like a Cypress USB controller and a Xilinx CPLD. So it's just feeding the video in here, the FPGA is processing it all, and then it's outputting it via USB. I know the newer versions use USB 3, so I don't know if they can do it with uncompressed video and you get much higher frame rates and quality. I know the quality of this thing is not great, mostly because of the frame rate. It varies depending on how much movement there is because it's compressing the frame into the bandwidth of a USB 2 connection. So you get like from 2 to like 30 frames per second depending on what's happening. So this thing has a much beefier set of hardware inside it, so it might actually be able to handle better frame rates, but it's still limited by this USB 2 interface. As expected, the hardware in this thing was a little underwhelming. The motherboard's completely useless, the CPU as well. Even this kind of interesting heatsink assembly is super light and won't really handle much heat at all. And unfortunately, due to the blower fan design, you can't really just stick this on something. It has to overhang so it can pull in air. So you'd have to put it like this, not like this. So that kind of makes this a little less useful. That leaves this guy, which apparently is quite a bit better than the little one I have. So I think I'm going to hang on to this one. It has a lower resolution than the VGA version, but apparently it has much better image quality because it's able to do a lot more in hardware with all this extra memory. So I was reading an article on it. It was quite interesting. I'll try to remember to link that in the description. The only problem is it's missing the end of the case. So I'm going to have to do something about that. I was thinking of 3D printing something. I'm not sure what these are for. I think they're for breakout cables for S-Video and composite, but I'm not positive. I haven't actually seen anything that uses these. And from what I can tell, the retail version of this actually has these covered up. So it might only be for some kind of testing, but that's kind of expensive to install for no reason. I guess the only thing left is to make an end cap for this thing. I don't